Hey Techsters, welcome to another Tech Up podcast. In this episode, we are going to see about what will be the future of cash. Somewhere in the near future, physical money will become like old tube televisions, cassettes, and relics of different age. And it will be only be found in places like museums, photos, and videos. In other words, hard cash will disappear. It will become electronic, transferred by things like phone, NFC payments, wireless cards, and even fitness bands. So, what's the rush to get rid of cash and what's the cost? Let's face it, money is cumbersome for consumers and banks. The government need to mint the cash and need to print the bills and to transport them in armored trucks, store it in very secure vaults. Operating in cash costs countries of about 0.5% of their GDP every year, but cost isn't the only incentive to move towards a cashless future. Demand is rising, and primarily demand from the young generations who are looking for fast, easy to use means of payments. Digital payments aren't just easy, they are neat. It becomes easier for governments to monitor tax evasions and fraud, so we will have less of that going on. Probably having every single payment automatically recorded is efficient, but there's a downside. Let's assume, for example, that the country that used to be democratic, where people were not paying too much attention about safeguarding their privacy, becomes undemocratic, and someone wants to control citizens more closely. They will try to infer from what you buy, your political leanings potentially, and generally speaking, just monitor what you are doing in ways that they shouldn't be doing. The ballot boxes are kept locked and sealed. Living in a democratic country doesn't mean you shouldn't be concerned. There are also worries that private companies perhaps might use this data in ways that are not safe or that you might not like. And for a number of sectors, knowing what you do with your money is very important. Electronic money trails can allow governments and private companies to access and harvest personal data. But there's another threat that is worrying banks: cyber attacks. It was a high-tech bank robbery, Capital One suffering a massive hack attack involving 100 million Capital One customers' accounts, had their personal information stolen. In March 2019, Capital One Bank was hacked. A solo hacker managed to steal away 106 million people's personal details in a matter of days, and that attack was noticed just a few months after. So you can see that a lot of companies are not very well protected yet against such threats. Pretty much every day we hear of data breaches, cyber attacks that are successful. It's much harder to prevent an attack than to be on the hacker side, because you only need to succeed once as a hacker. Once upon a time, you would have two guys coming in. They would tell everyone to be on the floor, put the money in the bank, and then run away with the money. And you would get insurance. Against that, you knew what the risk was. Nowadays, cyber attacks, they can happen anytime, they can take any form. So it's very hard to insure against. Still, many countries are fast moving towards a cashless society. In Sweden, the number of retail cash transactions per person has fallen by 80% in the past 10 years. The trend is even evident in far more cash loyal societies. China's digital payment rose from 4% of all payments in 2012 to 34% in 2017. The trend is inevitable, but a gradual transition is key. It's important that we have a sort of control as to how fast this happens, because if that's not the case, some people might be left behind. Some people may find it harder to grasp how much money they have without the physical representation of it. Not everyone knows how to use the internet banking technology, and people living in remote areas where internet cover is patchy may find they have to drive for miles for their basic needs. And there's another sector of society that relies heavily on cash. People living on streets. They don't carry card terminals with them, so it would be very hard for them. Well, first for them to collect money and to pay for things. They will be among the people who will suffer the most from it. Going cashless is just the latest evolution of money in the modern economy. But it raises a fundamental question. what is the value of money if it doesn't physically exist? Central banks enact monetary policy by exerting control over the amount of money that is created and that is in circulation. And they can do it because they are the only entities that print and create money. The purpose of it is to control the amount of money that is used by the entire economy. In a cashless society, obviously this becomes much harder because money presumably can be created by other entities, especially after Facebook made the announcement they were looking to launch a digital currency. It shows you the extent to which central banks are already thinking about the future of money. The move towards cashless societies is well underway, but the governments need to ensure that as cash is phased out, the vulnerable in society aren't left behind. They need to navigate carefully the many pitfalls that a digital economy will bring. If you like this podcast, you can reach me through mail techuppodcast@gmail.com, which is TECHUPPODCAST@gmail.com. And you can also reach me through Instagram at tech_up_podcast_. Thank you.